Welcome to another episode of Axe of the Blood God, an independent RPG podcast. I'm your host, Kat Bailey. Joining me, as always, my lovely co-host, Nadia Oxford.
Hello, Kat. Somehow we threw that together at the last second, and everyone was just kind of losing everything the last few seconds. We didn't even clap on time. That was good. We're all just standing waiting.
Just all like going, are we ever going to clap? What's going on? Also joining me is my equally lovely co-host, Eric Van Allen.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, y'all missed. It wasn't even pre-show. It was the area between pre-show and putting the show live. I guess you would call it like pre-combat phase. Podcast production.
I was going to call it the wood between the worlds, but that's a real telling on myself as a C.S. Lewis fan.
Yeah. It was a real nightmare over here. So yeah, no, we're up now. We're going. We're good. Let's do some podcasting. Yeah.
This week, we have a lot to discuss. There was a ton of news coming out of Gamescom, and also the PlayStation 5 is going up in price. Oh my gosh, what a shock. So we're going to be talking about all of that, and Eric is also going to be sharing his impressions of the Trails in the Sky FC demo. All of that's coming up, but first, if you want to support Axe of the Blood God, please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/bloodgodpod, where for just $5 a month, you get access to our show ad-free. You get access to the Discord. You get our weekly newsletter. You get access to Charlie and Dropouts, our Final Fantasy XIV podcast. And for $5 more on top of that, you get access to all of our Pantheon back catalog and also all of our side quests. And in fact, we have a side quest coming up next week. It's our big Magic the Gathering podcast with me, Eric, and special guest to be announced. Please look forward to it. It'll be coming out early September. And then we'll be doing another side quest. What will that side quest be? I don't know. It's a mystery. We'll find out. On top of all of that, we have merch at shop.bloodgodpod.com, where if you're a starter of Destiny, you get a 20% discount. Also, what else? Oh, and yeah, I already mentioned the weekly newsletter. Nadia, how's that going?
Oh, it's going pretty well, actually. Every week I get to write something that is totally in my voice, so you never know what you're going to get. And honestly, half the time I don't know what I'm going to write until the day dawns. So you get whatever's fresh on my mind from that week. Fear.
Indeed. And every week we shout out a Star of Destiny on this show. And this week's Star of Destiny is Criminal Justice, our intrepid mod.
Thank you, Criminal Justice.
Justice, thanks so much for your support. All right, let's talk about all the news from Gamescom. There's a fair amount of it. So I'm just going to run through it all really quickly in a series of, well, they're not random encounters exactly, but a series of expected encounters. What would they call that? What's the opposite of a random encounter?
Organized encounter.
It's like in Tactics when you do that castle fight and it's like several battles, or in Final Fantasy XIV, several cutscenes will now play in a sequence. You know, there may be a section of gameplay that interrupts it. Please do not log out of the server. You may have to restart the section if you do so. Yeah.
And don't get mad.
Is that what it says in 14?
Yeah, something like that.
It says when there's a sequence of cutscenes. When you see there's a sequence of cutscenes coming up, it's a meme because something's about to go down in the story.
Yeah,
usually something fucked up.
Several cutscenes will now play in sequence.
That's the word. That's
okay. Well, several cutscenes are now playing in sequence. All right. I'm just going to run through all of the announcements really quickly. Black Myth Zhong Kui. It's an early in development. It's a sequel to Black Myth Wukong. World of Warcraft Midnight showed off its opening cinematic, which is revealing a revamped Quell Thalas. Moonlight 2. Is it Moonlighter? Moonlighter 2.
Moonlighter 2.
Forgive me. Hitting early access on October 23rd. I'm actually looking forward to that one.
I played that one at
Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Legacy of the Forge. It's a DLC. You get to be a blacksmith. Cool. The Outer Worlds 2 showed off new companions with Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz has been like their main advertising guy, and they showed off all the companions. They look okay in RPG sense. None of them really stood out to me. Yes, Silksong is finally coming out on September 4th. It is happening. That was like a big part of the news. take off the clown makeup. It's finally over. We're finally getting it.
It's
They mean it's
crazy.
universe now.
Crazy
They're
for
taking
them
it
to do
off.
that. They're just going to get overshadowed by Demon School. That's really a rookie mistake on the part of
I know.
Silksong, you know. So,
Ouch. Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't know
Poor
that
Demon
at the
School.
same time.
Oh my gosh, that's
gosh.
terrible.
You can do it.
Okay,
I believe in you, Demon School.
two games made just for me. One is Dawn of War 4. I'm not a Warhammer 40k head, but Dawn of War is my jam. Dawn of War 2, secretly an amazing RPG. But Dawn of War 4 looks more like your typical RTS, and that's fine as long as it's better than Dawn of War 3, which was bad. And then Battlestar Galactica Scattered Hopes. I watched that trailer and I actually got emotional when I heard that theme song again. I was just like, oh my God, I'm nostalgic now. The nostalgia feels are hitting so hard. It looks like it's a isometric fleet-based game where you're doing space combat and trying to escape, and it's kind of like FTL, I guess. I'm like, they're doing BSG, but it's FTL. Okay, calm down, Kat. Heart palpitations right here.
Catnip.
Yes, exactly. Catnip. There you go. Final Fantasy 14 and Monster Hunter Wilds are doing another crossover.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that mount. I have not gotten the Rathalos, and I'm still so mad at myself about that. And I know Victor's going to put in an edit here saying something about how we could make a group and get the Rathalos. And I know, but like I was telling Victor, no matter what happens, even in the context of Final Fantasy 14, I'm a single player person. And I think it's just because I'm old and I grew up with brothers, and brothers make fun of you and they see what you're playing. So you just kind of go into yourself and play by yourself. And it's just the way I am. But yes, there are consequences. For instance, I did not get the Rathalos. And I want the Rathalos.
I also need the Rathalos. So if you want to party up to get the Rathalos,
maybe we
should
do a Rathalos party. But I'm definitely gonna get the I can't remember the name of the mounts in Wilds, but I love them.
Yeah, the Secrets.
Secrets, yeah.
Yeah.
I just love their design. They have such a pleasing balance of like mammalian and reptilian and dinosaur kind
of a pleasing flavor profile.
I like the Secrets. They're just kind of chocobos, though, and that's kind of the bummer for me. Is that like, I looked at that and I was like, yeah, I mean, I like the Secrets. That makes sense, but like Rathalos was cool because when you see someone fly in on a Rathalos, it's like, whoa, that's sick. Where'd you get that mount? Here it's like, oh, your chocobo looks kind of sick, man, and not like sick, like that's sick, bro. Like, oh, you should get that chocobo checked out at the chocobo doctor.
Is that chocobo okay?
Is that chocobo
barn? Take that chocobo back to Bent Branch Meadows and maybe talk about the dignified thing to do.
Mog and Choco are sick. Mog got COVID.
There's our reel for the week. There you go, Alexi. That was actually one of the bummers about Wilds, a game that I like a lot better than a lot of other people, actually.
I love it. Which
is that I liked the Palamutes better than the Secrets.
I do like the Palamutes.
I kind of like
keep the Palamutes. We had a mount at home. It was called a Palamute.
I do like the auto steering on the Secrets. Like once I got used to that, like I like it when an animal that I'm riding feels like it responds like a living thing and not like, as you say, a chocobo, Eric, where you're just directing every single thing they do.
The thing about the Palamute was that it always seemed like, you remember in Elden Ring there was Radon and his horse, and the horse was kind of like,
oh, the tiny Lenny.
Yeah,
his name was
Lenny.
Really,
it's struggling for life. The
I love that little
Palamute
guy.
kind of gave that same energy because the more armor and weapons that you got, it's still kind of just a wolf / a dog, and the size proportions didn't always seem like they were kind to the Palamute.
Even Lenny, like, wasn't it magic that kept like what's his face like kind of slightly above the horse, so it didn't just
learned gravity magic so he could continue to ride his horse, which is really messed up because imagine you're like a sickly horse and you're really excited for retirement, and then your boss shows up and he's like, guess what? I learned gravity magic so you can keep riding around battlefields.
Wow,
this kind of heavy for you.
Of Animal Farm is fucked up.
It is. Yeah, it is actually Animal Farm.
Boxer the horse, played by Lenny.
For once, something is Orwellian.
This never
I-
happened before.
I know who Radon is. That's a name I recognize.
I know that reference.
I know that reference.
Yeah. So
Because
go ahead.
it's because I play Magic. Go ahead.
Oh God, really?
Wait, Radon's not in Magic. What are you talking about?
Is he?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I
From
have him in
Elden
my
Ring?
lightning deck.
From Elden Ring.
Radon, the Bull of Alamigo. Or is that Raban?
Oh, that's Raban, the Bull of Alamigo.
Raban. Raban.
Raban has a
Not
little guy
Radon.
as a son. He's a little Lalafell.
In
It's very
fairness,
cute.
it's just one letter.
Oh man.
But considerably
I also
bigger
beat
balls, though.
Radon. I beat Radon. Here's the thing. I beat Radon in Elden Ring before it was patched to make it harder. Back when he was actually kind of easy. And so people were roaming through him, and that was how I was able to beat him in Elden Ring, is that he was just easier.
Funny enough, I think both those characters had to get patched because didn't the Raban fight in 14's patches have to get patched at some point too?
Probably.
I remember
Like
that
a
trial
lot of-
being really, really hard. Or it's not even a trial, it's like an instanced duty or whatever. This is not a huge spoiler. It's just like a training arc that you do and you get to fight some characters that you normally would not fight. But yeah, Radon. That's crazy. Anyway,
Raban
14 in Wilds. So 14 is getting what looks like Zoshia, which is the kind of flagship monster for Wilds as a trial encounter,
Yeah.
boss encounter basically. And then that's probably what you'll get all the cosmetics and mounts from and stuff like that. And then Wilds is getting Omega, which looks kind of sick.
That's pretty freaking cool.
I would have assumed they would go for Bahamut or something like that. But,
Yeah.
But going for Omega is actually a pretty sick choice. And the music they were playing during the trailer also sick. So I'm actually looking forward to that fight in Wilds. I might reinstall Wilds just to play that fight.
Sekiro is getting an anime called No Defeat. Unbeatable. It's coming out November 6th. Music is illegal and you do crimes. F yeah. Eric wrote this. So Eric,
Yeah.
tell me about
That sounds like
Unbeatable.
Revolution X.
I genuinely think that if you went and watched the trailer for Unbeatable right now, you would immediately go, how am I only just now hearing about this game? Because the pitch is basically Fooly Cooley era anime
Oh,
vibes.
Unbeatable.
Yes.
That game looks awesome.
With
Yes.
kind of beat agents, rhythm gaming, about a city where it is illegal to make music, so you're gonna do some crime. And yeah, it's just I
Yes,
know.
it's this game. Oh my gosh, I watched the trailer. I was like, this game looks awesome.
I don't know who would see this and not be interested in this. I don't know, like or have a visceral reaction to it. You probably have to live in some kind of house that was infested by rodents and cockroaches and other vermin of some size, and just be sad, I guess. But it's it's a really cool concept. It's a really cool idea. The demos that have come out have been absolutely fantastic. I think for people who enjoy really great art styles, really cool rhythm games, really unique premises, everything about this seems like it's
I do
really,
like
really
how
good.
it sounds like Elite Beat Agent. So like I'm down for that. But yes, it
I'm
also
downloading
sounds
the
like,
demo as we speak.
It also
Yeah.
sounds like Revolution X, which I demand you play someday, Eric, if you haven't.
Revolution X. All right.
Revolution X. It's an arcade game where music is the weapon, and Aerosmith is kidnapped by some.
Oh, I
she
know
wa-
of this game. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to play it someday. I remember
The
when I
Aerosmith
found it in the
game,
arcade,
yeah.
like when it was actually a thing. I'm like, this is so cool because really into Get a Grip at the time.
But yeah, it is so. Fooly Cooley is the obvious, like, that's the inspiration. There are other anime of that time for sure. Very Gainax, early Gainax era stuff. But
Yeah.
I have wanted this game for a while. I'm very excited to see it here. It's very exciting.
In a world where music is illegal, one hero will rise up.
It's
Rise
like the
up,
tagline
rise
is
up.
literally like, lose your way, find your voice, music is illegal, go do crime, or something like that. It's very, like, it's punchy, it's good. I love it.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is coming out October 21st, and there were a lot of preview impressions. We'll talk about that in a bit. And finally, Fallout Season 2 was officially revealed in a trailer. We got to see New Vegas. I think that was Mr. House. Caesar's Legion was in there. The Brotherhood was there. Brotherhood of Steel was there with their airship fleet. Pretty cool. It's out December 17th. As I discussed last week, that's a show I need to finish, but it was kind of bloody. But I was enjoying it for what I saw, and it's interesting. The one thing I'll say about Fallout Season 2 is I don't care that much about the timeline or the canon of Fallout. Just as a reference, in Magic the Gathering, I'm totally uninvested in Fallout the set. I don't care. I will never build it. I am actively avoiding cards from it.
I think I've got 2 cards from it, but that's about it.
Maybe dog meat. But so that just shows the level of investment I have in Fallout. I don't really like the aesthetic that much. The music is okay, but the show is great. And I think it's just because it's shot so well. I think it's because the show takes the setting so seriously, but somehow also gets the vibes and the humor of the games. Does that make sense?
I think
for sure.
I think the show really took off on the power of its characters. And that's not to say that the writing or the production or anything isn't there, but I think it found a real core in its characters, especially Lucy, the main character, who is I think a lot of people have tried to do I'm just a vault dweller, and you can do that so wrong in so many ways where it's just comical how bad it is. But I think Lucy was the right mix of, she was naive but very headstrong, that kind of makes for a good vault dweller who is emerging out into the wastes to try and survive but doesn't know how to survive. So she's getting into all these situations in which there's danger and stuff is manifesting and all that, and the ghoul has to help her out and all that. Walton Goggins, absolutely incredible in that series. The Gogs always shows up. All right, we love Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins and Ella Purnell. They doing a great job.
It seems like they're going to be the core of the story moving forward too, and I'm very excited.
Also, the knight from the Brotherhood of Steel, he's okay, but I was kind of put off by that opening sequence where, like, I guess he lost like a finger or something. I was like,
yeah. I think that part, the way the Brotherhood of Steel was handled, was less interesting to me, just because they took a very Bethesda approach to the Brotherhood of Steel, and I prefer other versions of the Brotherhood of Steel more. But I do think the characters and the writing there got pretty good by the end of it. I think they did a really, really good job. New Vegas looks fantastic. I love that Mr. House is going to be in the mix. I love that we've got some little Easter eggs in there, like the dinosaur's mouth with Lucy up there with the sniper rifle. That's very fun. There's Caesar's Legion, aka Kaisar's Legion. That'll be interesting to see. I mean, the big question is, we talked about this last week, what do they ultimately decide is the history of the Hoover Dam battle, right? And how does that affect the story that they tell later, especially if Mr. House is playing such a prominent role. I'm excited to see all that. I think this team has given us a real reason to believe in them, and this is also probably the only Fallout stuff you're going to get short of 76. So until somebody figures
for
out
quite a while,
Fallout's good. Yeah.
And you have to believe that the original team, the Black Isle folks, Josh Sawyer and all them, are just kind of smirking and thinking, yeah, that's our setting right here. That the acclaimed television show Fallout Season 2 has chosen to go to. This is
really excited.
This is OG Fallout. This is Bethesda will take credit, but this is not Bethesda's Fallout right here.
Obsidian.
Do you feel like Bethesda's trying to take some ownership of New Vegas? This is their way of going. That this is their way of taking it a little bit from Obsidian.
Could be.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I do think there's an
Because Todd
element.
Howard is an executive producer on those, and Obsidian's not involved in it, to my knowledge.
I do think there's an element of New Vegas was always kind of seen as this outlier, and they don't even talk about Fallout 1 and 2 ever. Whenever Microsoft, Bethesda, all of them talk about Fallout, it's
So
always
Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas have a lot in common.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think
Yeah.
in some ways maybe it is trying to make New Vegas seem like it's part of the 3.4.76 whole that is modern Fallout, as they like to package it, which bums me out because I like that Fallout is expansive and varied and has a lot of different stuff out there. We don't talk all that often about Fallout Tactics or anything like that, but it's actually a pretty varied series that's had a lot of really interesting stuff out there. And so I don't know. But as far as the TV show goes, I think the TV show looks pretty interesting and pretty good. So I'll watch it.
Me too. Okay. There's a lot of storylines to talk about coming out of Gamescom, so let's hit a couple of them. The big ones, maybe. There's a lot of discussion about how games run on Switch 2 handheld. We're already there. We're already into this discussion. It's the game. The system's been out for 2 months, and people are going, okay, but how does it run? Final Fantasy VII Remake, good. In handheld, good, apparently. 40 FPS. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it looks
For
great,
handheld, yeah,
too.
it's not bad.
I feel
Yeah,
like that's
well-
somewhat
well
commensurate
optimized.
with Steam Deck. Somewhere in there. I haven't played Remake on my Steam Deck yet, but I imagine that's probably about the ballpark of where it's at.
Yeah. That's what you're shooting for, right? Elden Ring, not so much, maybe.
That's too bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
IGN posted a pretty harsh, I would say, preview of Elden Ring on the Switch 2. Headline, quote, Elden Ring on Switch 2 is a disaster
Yeah.
dang,
in
son.
handheld mode. We played Elden Ring Torrents Edition in handheld mode on Switch 2 and came away very disappointed, especially when in the open areas like Limgrave. Frame rate drops were significant when turning the camera whilst exploring outside the tutorial area, and this, combined with the confusing button layout on Switch 2, made combat confusing and exploration fairly dispiriting. We weren't allowed to record gameplay at the booth, probably due to this fact, but you can hear our thoughts on Elden Ring Switch 2 handheld gameplay in this video. Pretty rough, and not surprising also, because Elden Ring was a pretty intensive game, all things considered. Really good-looking game. And it's an open world, and open worlds in handheld modes can be... It's just challenging to get it right, get the balance right. And on the flip side, though, I put the blame kind of squarely on From or whoever is porting this game over to the Switch 2, because other games like Cyberpunk are a lot better optimized, and I would say Cyberpunk, despite coming out a couple years earlier than Elden Ring, is probably more intensive than Elden Ring is, all things considered. So
I think it's interesting because Cyberpunk came out, and on PC, which infamously when reviews were happening, PC code was the only code that was going out until about, I think, like a day before or something like that. But PC ran great as long as you had a decent setup. PS5 or next gen consoles at the time ran great.
Yes,
Old gen
PC had
consoles did
stuttering.
not. PC had stuttering, but I'm saying like it's compared.
Are we talking
to
about
what-
Elden Ring or Cyberpunk?
Talking about
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Okay. I was thinking it was the
But
opposite for Elden Ring.
That's where I'm going. Yes, that is the end point of where I'm going. Is that Elden Ring was
Yeah.
the inverse, where console was often the better way to play it, at least at launch, because the PC had all kinds of weird issues with just random stuff. And so I wonder again if this is just from targeting platforms and then having to take those platforms wider, and that I feel like a lot of companies do have this problem. It's not an unnatural problem to have, is that you have a target that you want to shoot, and then the second a year later or something, you're saying, okay, now we're porting it to a different platform. Maybe sometimes it goes well. Maybe sometimes with the Switch 2, for example, it can be a little bit more difficult. And so I do think that is an understandable issue to have. However, the reports I've seen coming out about it is not only like Elden Ring's not good, like really not good, but also I'm surprised that From is showing it if it's in that rough of a state, to be honest. So that's kind of the curious part for me, is why, if this thing is so noticeably bad that probably even the people showing it off are like, yeah, we know. Why is it being shown in the first place? Because it's not like this is a behind closed door session or something like that. This is being shown to the public, who's always going to be a little bit more critical because they're seeing a game. They're going to judge it on that. They're not going to judge it on, well, development time and things like that could still happen. It's going to set like a bad precedent, bad tone for Elden Ring's eventual Switch 2 launch. So I'm really curious about why this whole thing is coming down the way it is.
Sometimes that would happen with the Switch as well. Like, I remember going to see Bloodstained, which infamously probably still runs like garbage on the Switch. I'm not sure, but I saw it at, I think it was one of the PAXs, and I was just like, this was the main version they were showing. Like, it ran fine on PC, but they weren't. That wasn't front and center. It was the Switch that was front and center. I'm like, why is this? Why would you do that? This was running at like 10 frames per second. It was terrible, and yet. Did you lose a bet? Is there a reason you have to do this? I don't. Yeah, it's interesting what happens.
Is there a commitment? Is there some sort of commitment
there's
that's
some
made,
kind of commitment.
that you got to live up to? That you got to show up and say like, okay, well, we committed to bringing a game to demo at a station at an event because this is part of our marketing deal or something like that. That can always be a case. The thing
true.
I'm still surprised by, I guess, and what I was saying before is that. When you show something behind closed doors to press at a press appointment or something like that, there's oftentimes a level of, hey, this is still early. We're still working on some things. And I do think it's okay for press in that point to be a little understanding, because we're getting an early look at a game. And sometimes I am notoriously good at finding bugs in early builds because I will try to do really dumb things that people maybe didn't think you should be able to do, and I veer off the critical path pretty often. But once you're showing it to the public, that's kind of like you're uncorking the bottle, right, and pouring the brownie batter out of the pan. And it's hard to scoop the brownie batter back into the pan and make it better again after it's already hit the floor. I don't know why I went with this analogy. It's a weird analogy.
That's an interesting analogy. Congratulations on that.
Do you uncork brownie batter?
Well, yeah, I was.
Is that a thing you do?
In my head, I was going for like water or something, which I guess probably would have been better because it is hard to scoop water up.
How does brownie batter
in.
Pour? Isn't it kind of like thick and?
It's viscous.
Guys,
for sure.
You're making me hungry.
Yes. Well, I mean, you can't put that back in the bottle. I agree.
I was
this hypothetical bottle. I keep brownie batter in my bottle.
All right, there's my bottle of brownie batter.
Too much alliteration going on.
I keep that thing on me. And by that thing, I mean my brownie batter.
It's got this flask of brownie batter that I take with me.
I'm picturing like a frontiersman, like, nothing better on a long haul day than some brownie batter fresh from the flask.
I wonder if you
oh no, it came out. I can't get it back in.
Scoop, boy, scoop.
Hurry, hurry. Grass and dirt.
I feel like we're clip farming ever since we got Alexi on.
Yeah.
I swear to God, we're not clip farming. We're just weird.
No, it's exactly.
Anyways, yeah. So I am very surprised that at a place like Gamescom they're showing this publicly when it is in this state, because obviously they did the whole thing of, well, game outlets, please don't record footage or anything, and like, game outlets adhere to it, but then, as has already happened, like some dude just walks up with like a little, like I have a little DJI Osmo or like your phone or something, and you just sit there and you just
record everything running like crap.
And you just record like 5 minutes of it, and that's going to be the story. That's going to happen. If you don't know that's going to happen, what are you doing in communications?
You're naive.
So I don't know. It's all a really interesting situation that I would love to know the backroom details of why that happens.
So another storyline that came out of Gamescom Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which I alluded to a little bit earlier. There were some previews for that one. And in some ways, it's hard to... Okay, so let's just recap the whole Bloodlines 2 saga,
Yeah.
which in many ways has been covered all the way through on this show. We were there when it was announced. I remember when it was originally announced with Hardsuit Labs. And they were going for a very ambitious take on Bloodlines. That was going to be set in Seattle. It was going to be very faithful to the original, but it was too big for them.
They had Brian Soda on there from the original team. They had a lot of notable people like Kara Ellison who were going to be working on it. Back at US Gamer, I did it really... You would not believe how long form this was. I remember submitting that draft and being told that we can't publish like 8,000 words, so I had to cut it down. I did a very long interview with Kara Ellison about the setting of Bloodlines 2 as it was back then. That was really, really interesting. I still think about it.
Hey, Kara Ellison was very enthusiastic about doing that, about writing on it. And Kara Ellison's a great writer. And it just didn't work. There was a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. I know that there's a whole story out about it. There was gameplay. We've seen gameplay of it. But the long story short of it entered development hell. It ended up being taken to a new studio. It's finally getting done, but it's a lot more streamlined and more action-oriented. And predictably, all of the old-school Masquerade fans who have modded the original game to hell and back because it's literally unplayable if you don't, are kind of upset that it's not living up to their idea of what Masquerade is and Bloodlines is. So predictably, I would say predictably, Bloodlines 2 is getting kind of mixed reactions. But Eric, you have thoughts on this.
Yeah. I want to add some color really quick before we move into Bloodlines 2. So in that timeline, Hardsuit Labs hits trouble, delays happen, and eventually Paradox decides we're cutting this whole thing. And there's a brief window where Bloodlines 2 is kind of floating around. They're not saying that it's canceled, but they're not saying who's developing it. And that was the weirdest time in the world where they were like, it's still a project, but we're not saying who's working on it. Eventually, they finally announced the Chinese Room, which made Amnesia: Machine for Pigs, and a few other games. I can't remember their other games offhand. I just always remember them as the Machine for Pigs developer, which is a good game. I like that game. I think that's an important comparison point because Amnesia: Machine for Pigs, very different game from Amnesia: The Dark Descent, if you've played both those. But it is now... Amidst all this, Paradox has been trying to see, in my opinion, if Vampire and all of its related properties, but specifically Vampire, because I think it's the most marketable, can be kind of a multiversal, big D&D sized property. There's been Vampire Blood Hunt, which was a battle royale game that they put out. There was a bunch of visual novels, specifically the one I always think of as Coteries of New York, which is actually pretty good, and I recommend it if you want a vampire visual novel. It's not a bad time. Vampire Swan Song, which was made by the developers of The Council, which was a strange... What if Telltale had RPG mechanics? I also think was kind of novel and interesting, but they were trying a bunch of different things at this time, trying to basically push this thing. I bring this up because over at Game Informer, all of this coverage was happening before I joined Game Informer. But Bloodlines 2 is the cover, and there's a really good article that y'all should go read that Charles wrote up. That's about he asked them, why does this have to be Bloodlines? Like, and what makes a Bloodlines game? And he got a really interesting answer, but it also seemed like a very challenging answer for Chinese Room to broach. And so I have kind of entered this thing with all of that context, all that understanding, as it seems like Paradox, and I'm going to pull the quote up in here in a second because it's a really awful quote. It seems like Paradox is just trying to push this thing out the door. They're just trying to, after years and years of development and sunk cost and everything, try to get something out there. try to make something, and that making it a Bloodlines 2 is probably the best way of getting it to sell copies compared to calling it Vampire Blood Splatter or something like that, you know?
Vampire blood splatter.
Yeah.
Vampire Splatoon.
Yeah.
It's vampire, but it's twisted metal. Now they're in cars. I don't know.
Now they're in space. Wait,
Did you ever play? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Go ahead, Eric.
No. You bring it up because I'm actually looking for this quote right now. So
I was just thinking of Carmageddon for some reason.
never played that. It looks so stupid. I just never played it.
It was really stupid. Carmageddon. It's a car game with blood.
With
And
McGinn.
it's like calling it Vampire Blood Splatter. It just brings to mind 90s fighting games.
It does.
And Bone Storm. Vampire Bone Storm.
Go to hell.
Kat, this is
Play
incredible.
Vampire Bone Storm or go to hell.
This is I pulled up an article to find the quote, and it was written by you.
I love that.
You did not. It is an aggregation of a PC Gamer quote, but it was very funny that the first article I pulled up was an IGN article written by you. But this is from Paradox Deputy CEO Matthias Lilja talking to PC Gamer about Bloodlines. It is not in our strategic direction to make this kind of game, Lilja told PC Gamer. So if Bloodlines 2, God willing, is successful, Bloodlines 3 will be done by someone else on the license from us. I would say it's the sort of strategic way this would work. So it's still an outlier from what we're supposed to do. We don't know that stuff, so we should probably let other people do it. In short, Lilja considers Bloodlines a quote-unquote dead end for the company. So basically, this is being sent out to die. And they're trying to...
Which is interesting because Paradox owns Vampire?
Yes.
It owns the world of darkness. But they don't want to do video games.
Well, they don't themselves want to do this again.
Sure.
I think that was their...
Yeah, they
takeaway
want to
from
double
this.
down on the 4X games.
I think they assessed that their studios were not ready to handle this sort of thing, and instead it sounds like their goal would be to find a Larian or something like that and say, y'all take this property and make it under us as publisher. That is what I mean by sent out to die. So Bloodlines 2, with all that said, I have long ago accepted that this is not going to be Bloodlines 1. It's not. I mean, it would be really hard to make Bloodlines 1 nowadays. I don't think people are always as hyped about a early 2000s ImSim game as they would make themselves out to be. And I think it would be hard for them to hit the sales expectations of a production this size while trying to make that game. I think that stuff right now is thriving in the indie space where it can target the sickos that do want that. And in that respect, I am going to play Bloodlines 2 and try and just gauge it as this is a new vampire game, because I would be surprised if there's even any canonical continuity between Bloodlines 1 and Bloodlines 2. There would be no reason for there to be. So that being said, I'll give it a shot. I think it looks okay. I'm not thrilled about it or unthrilled about it. I have the most middling of takes on it, which is, I'll play this game and I'll see what it is. And if it surprises me, that's great. If it disappoints me, whatever. It went through like the worst development timeline since Bloodlines 1. It is what it is.
Dragon Age Veilguard, in other words.
Nothing is that bad.
Count Zero or...
I'm not... And in terms of timelines, that game got rebooted 3 times.
Yes. Yeah.
This has only been rebooted like once so far.
Count Zero or said, "Take my vampire, please," and that's a very funny joke, and I wanted to shout that out.
Take my vampire, please.
Take vampire.
I'll just say
please.
that it's a shame because the Vampire the Masquerade in the World of Darkness in general has a ton of potential as a setting.
Yeah.
There have been plenty of pretty good games set in the World of Darkness, but none that has really hit fully on the potential. Even Masquerade Bloodlines, a game that touched greatness and has been on our top 25 RPGs of all time. It was in development hell and had a ton of problems because it was so ambitious.
It's got its own
And
problems. Yeah.
Forgive me for always bringing it back to this. I just think about what Larian did for Baldur's Gate 3, and the World of Darkness is practically begging for something to that level of quality.
And the funny part is, for the longest time, and even after the initial release of Baldur's Gate 3, people were like, Larian's messing this up. They're gonna screw up the whole Baldur's Gate franchise. There was a lot of pearl clutching about Larian taking over Baldur's Gate and making a not proper Baldur's Gate. And then Baldur's Gate 3 comes out, and there are still some people who are like, oh, it's not proper Baldur's Gate. But I don't know. Just go. I don't know what to say to you. Please exit the nearest door. Find grass and slowly run your hand through it and really take in the sensory activation when you do so.
Contemplate your life.
But I do think that's probably what has to happen for Vampire at this point. Is I think, even though it's a very crazy statement to give to the press to say like Bloodlines is a dead end for us, I do think it's accurate that if there was going to be another Bloodlines, it's probably going to have to be made by a different studio. I don't think Chinese Room makes another Bloodlines unless this one suddenly sells like 12 mil. You know, I don't think that happens. So
if you take it in context, and if you want to be fair to Paradox, a publisher that actually may not deserve deserve this kind of grace. Len, our friend of the show, Len Hafer, has, I'm sure, tons of thoughts on Paradox, because she covers that publisher very closely and has for a long time as part of 3 Moves Ahead. What they're really saying is we were overextended as a publisher. We were trying to do too much.
Yeah.
We're refocusing on what we do well, which is 4X, which had really gotten away from us in recent years. And Vampire, and we are just not equipped to do a game that can really do justice to that particular universe, to the RPG genre. Which, I mean, it does take a lot of very, I think, specialized skills to make a full-blown CRPG specifically, which is what Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines was. So,
yeah,
is it a would you call it a CRPG? It's a CRPG.
I had this discussion a while ago. I would call it a CRPG. I think
even though it's not point and click, it's the same vibes, right?
Yeah, but
same very choice-driven.
You'd still call Dragon Age Origins a CRPG, and you can play that on a controller. That's
Would you call Fallout New Vegas a CRPG? Because I would.
That one gets tricky. But all of this is always vibes based at the end of the day, because the goalposts just kind of move until it fits what you feel your gut feels. And so I don't know. I would call it a CRPG though. At least I've been playing Bloodlines 1 in my spare time, actually, because I just wanted to go back and reacquaint myself with it and just re-engage with all that it is. That game still slaps, by the way. That game is crazy good from the jump. I love an RPG with a good intro, and it's a great intro, isn't it? There's not a better intro than you have had a one-night stand, and your sire is dead, and now you are on thin ice with every single vampire in the city and involved in politics that you don't understand, and you're just trying to survive and figure out what you are in the process.
That's so cool.
That rules. Great intro, no notes. It's also an incredibly of its era game in a way that I find very charming.
Mm-hmm.
In vampire fiction, I'm a big fan of character just got turned into a vampire and is now stumbling into this new world. And they did it actually. One of the few things that True Blood did really, really well is they did that story around season 1-ish, season 2-ish. And I mean, that's the premise of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. So to really capture now you're a vampire and you're in this entirely different world, and you have to deal with the masquerade, and oh, by the way, you're Nosferatu and you have to live in the sewers. Sorry. It's LOL.
One of the things in that Kara Ellison interview from way back, I say way back, it was only like 2020 or something like that. That has always stuck with me is that she talked about how Vampire is always going to be an inherently political game because it is so not just involved with the politics of the different clans and how they operate around each other, but the existence of vampires is also inherently tied to politics. The idea that climate change could be more of an issue for vampires than humans because vampires live a very long time and they are going to deal with the ramifications of climate change, whereas humans with more finite lifespans might be able to be like, well, that's another generation's problem and things like that.
Kind of like boomers.
It was a very interesting discussion, the way they were looking at that sort of stuff, that vampires think on a different timeline.
Vampires are environmentalists.
Yeah. It was literally like vampires make sense to be environmentalists because otherwise they have to live on a scorched earth and all their cattle, all their humans are slowly dying off, and that's a problem for them. So I really loved that view of vampire, and I would love to see something like that realized one day, but c'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Don't think I haven't thought about, well, if I were immortal, that'd be really cool, until I arrived at a time when the Earth is actually just a scorched ruin and it's literally only me wandering around the Earth. And now I'm floating through space like Bender in Futurama. And
eventually talk to God.
Well, vampires, you'd probably die in space because the sun is going to be just blasting you the whole time.
There does come a point, according to like the laws of vampirism, I guess, like in general, it's like
it depends on the vampire fiction, but there's shows where if you don't feed, you just become kind of a husk and basically go into hibernation. And so you're just a skeleton thing, and you're not pretty anymore. You're just a skeleton.
I know in Preacher, there's a scene where Cassidy is literally getting shot to pieces, and he says, like, technically he could survive that once it stopped, but if it kept going, like, his mind would have been shattered as well as his body.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But by the way, what do you think is the best vampire setting? What's your favorite vampire rules?
Oh, okay. They have to adhere to the most not esoteric, but like the most banal of restrictions. Like they can't cross a river. They have to. If a vampire has to be invited in, that's how you know it's good vampire fiction. That's an important rule that I think, as Jenny Nicholson, I believe, said once on a video essay, that's how you know they're taking themselves not too seriously. That they are still adhering to the kind of cheesy fun that results.
I get annoyed when they're like, whenever they have the moment in vampire fiction where they go, oh, you think this rule works on me? Well, haha, all of your vampire fiction was wrong. I'm like, yeah, you're so cool.
Because you just have a power fantasy. Yeah.
I think it just has to be consistent. And the internal logic has to be really consistent. I thought Buffy the Vampire Slayer did a good job. Say, establish vampires as demons that take over your body effectively, and your soul gets pushed out. Your soul's gone. It's been taken over by demons. So when you meet a vampire, they look like the person and they have the memories of the person, but they are not that person. They are almost like the id of that person.
They're the Yerks from Animorphs.
And they are a lesser demon. They're a lesser demon than full true demons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I like it. It's good. It's good. So
the thing that's important with vampires and with all mythological creatures, whatever, is that they're supposed to be Faustian bargains, right? There's supposed to be an element of you have gained great power at great cost. I think if you're not doing that, then you're writing sword art online. You're making the most power fantasy player insert type stuff ever, and that's not interesting. I think that just becomes.
They need pathos. They need sadness.
Yeah, you need something to.
They need to brood.
That's why.
Go ahead.
Just again, going back to Cassidy, was always one of my favorite vampires because he had no idea how to be mortal, and that hurt a lot of mortals because the things he could do. And he kind of dragged along people, because the things he did for fun, mortals couldn't do for fun. He basically destroyed them, and just was. He wasn't like a terrible person. He just had a terrible, terrible flaw.
I love a sad vampire, like Castlevania, the animated series. That Dracula that is the saddest dude. Give me a wife guy vampire who's just sad all the time, and that's a banger right there.
I
That's a
found that
top tier
so
vampire.
boring though, not because of Dracula. He was cool.
He's great.
Dracula was okay, but the whole we're the church and we're evil. It's just like, oh please, this isn't grade 6. You know?
Vampire Church was a little.
It was so stupid. It's like, if you
Vampire baseball.
I like the sisters, the ones that kind of become the main antagonists. I like that whole plot line. I like the one that's like torturing the dude by being like sexy and then like hurting him at the same time, and he's like, I hate this. I'm being allured by the sexy vampire. I can't resist, and that was really fun.
But Dracula was like, don't hurt my wife, and then they're like, okay, so we'll burn your wife, and like it was so stupid. Like, you're all idiots. I hate you all.
Well, yeah. That's the thing, is humans have to be stupid. Humans are stupid.
Yeah.
I like to say, a person is smart, but people are stupid.
That's from Men in Black. Sorry, Kat, go on.
Did y'all ever watch What We Do in the Shadows? Because that has great vampire logic. So if you don't know about What We Do in the Shadows, and if you don't, what are you doing? It's a mockumentary set up about a family of vampires and their familiar Guillermo. Guillermo wants to be a vampire. And the thing that they get right, which True Blood does not get right, like True Blood has a guy who's been alive for 1,000 years, but he might as well have been born in 1983.
Right.
Whereas What We Do in the Shadows has a guy who led armies in the Middle East in the 800s. And they have a guy who's this British dude from, who's been alive for several hundred years. And they capture these are people out of time and place who have now live on Staten Island, New York, and are interacting with the modern world. A good vampire story can be a fish out of water story in the best way. That's what We Do in the Shadows is, and it's really good. You should watch it.
So Blood God's perfect vampire, fish out of water, can't go inside unless invited, wife guy, and sad in some way. Brooding has to be brooding.
Yes.
Yes. I'm also gonna
very awkward, very socially awkward vampire.
Socially awkward. And also, I gotta add, they have.
That's the name of our show, Socially Awkward Vampire.
That's the name of my new streaming series where I play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And I'm a stickler for this. I don't need this, but I like this. If they can turn into a bat, that's pretty sick. I do love when
they can do that in What We Do in the Shadows.
Or
they go
a swarm of bats.
Woo!
Like
or a wolf.
either single bat or a wolf or swarm of bats.
Or a fog. So what we're saying is we just need a vampire show about Alucard.
Yes.
You have to be a fog. It can't be fog.
Alucard is peak vampire. Like, he's brooding.
I do agree. I know he's a vampire, but he's peak vampire.
That dude suffers in Castlevania. That, I think it was season 3. That was some suffering in there. That dude had a bad
I got
day.
an idea for the post show. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
We've derailed the main show enough. I got an idea for the post show. Let's rank vampires.
Oh, vampires. I don't know if we could rank vampires because there's a lot of vampires, but I would be down for the best vampires. Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Anything else from Gamescom?
Vampires.
There
were a lot of vampires, I'm told.
I think I came out of Gamescom feeling a little underwhelmed because it was a lot of news, a lot of announcements.
We got Silksong, man. We're getting Silksong.
Yeah,
it's happening.
It was also the moment.
We're getting the Battlestar Galactica game.
It's the most I've been aware of. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world right now that is affecting the world of video games in a very tangible way. So we had the PS5 price increase amid Gamescom.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in the second segment.
We will.
We'll do that in a little bit.
Second main phase.
Oh my God, we're doing that thing. Okay, continuing.
And it was also while Xbox and Microsoft were very front facing during opening night live specifically. They had a lot of games in opening night live between WoW and COD Blob 7 and a bunch of other stuff. There was the I forget what you call it, the people who were basically camping out in Microsoft's campus protesting Azure being used overseas. And there's a lot of real it was very much like Gamescom was just making me poignantly aware of we are living in unprecedented times. And the real world always affects the games we play, but I don't think I've ever been as aware of it as I have been in the last couple years and covering the industry as it is. So that put a weird thing over all of it. Even the games that were being announced, it was a lot of dates for stuff we already knew. It was a lot of weird segments where here comes COD Blop 7. They're making more Call of Duty. Congratulations. And I think I lamented online that it sucks that games like Demon School and Unbeatable have to struggle for time and find themselves either wedged in between gotcha ads that are there to pay the bills, just speaking frankly, or in Demon School's case, only shown off in the Japanese Indie World Showcase and not in the US Indie World Showcase for some, or North American Indie World Showcase for some unknowable reason. It just reminded me of a lot of the strange oddity and disparity that we see in modern games, and how it feels like there's something off and nobody really wants to address it. And so that was kind of my takeaway from all that, was just like, man, what a weird freaking industry we're in right now. What a weird point in time we're in. But there was some cool stuff. There were cool games. And really, Unbeatable looks fantastic. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, can't wait. All right, that's it for our Gamescom discussion. We're going to head now into the tavern in just a moment to talk about Trails in the Sky, the PS5 price increase, and much, much more. But first, a series of random encounters. Don't go away. All right, it's time now for a series of random encounters. Path of Exile 2 isn't on the radar for grinding gear games in terms of going to the Switch 2, which is surprising to me, actually, because I think the Switch 2 would be a great home for that series. But not yet. Pokemon TCG Pocket Secluded Springs is launching August 27th with Gen 3 Pokemon. I think that we're a year in. They really want to keep that revenue up. And so they've just gone 3 in a row of, okay, we did the Eevee set. Okay, we did the Gen 2 set. Okay, we got the Gen 3 set. You happy, nerds?
Is it really been a year since Pokemon?
It's been a year.
Oh my
God. About a year.
Wow.
I'm waiting. So they have this pass. If you were there at the very beginning, they gave you a card or a reward. And I'm waiting for the 1-year anniversary to see if I get to choose any Pokemon I want.
Ooh.
And then I would have some choices to make. We're going to get Mega Evolutions by the time of Pokemon ZA, and that's going to be interesting because Mega Evolutions seem pretty broken. But speaking of Pokemon, there was a lot of news that came out of the Pokemon World Championships last weekend, and one of them is that Pokemon Champions, that's the battle simulator. Watch out. Pokemon Showdown will be the default platform for the World Championships going forward. And also, Pokemon ZA is going to have a 4-player battle royale.
Yeah.
Commander. They made Pokemon Commander. We did it.
We did it, everyone. We are directly responsible somehow.
We have crossed the streams.
Zaum's got a new game. They have a title. It's called Zero Parades. It's an espionage thriller. Zaum, definitely in the news a lot because it's just so much chaos and battles, and
there's
it's not the same Zaum.
I can't recommend enough. People go watch People Make Games coverage, both the original video, which I think you should watch that, and then watch the newest video because you'll understand when you watch both of them. But I do think PMG has been out there on the forefront of trying to tell the very complicated and let's say full of gray areas story behind the leaders and creatives of Disco Elysium that have since scattered to the winds and are now all making Disco Elysium likes. It's a very complex story, and I think PMG has really been trying to tackle it head on in ways that not a lot of other places can dedicate resources or time to. So shout outs to them.
And finally, happy 25th anniversary to Dragon Quest VII, which released on PlayStation on August 26, 2000. And there are plenty of people who like Dragon Quest VII. A little bit of a black sheep. That was the first level 5 one. Am I wrong? Or is that...
I'm not sure, but they sure improved with 8, if that's the case.
Yeah, they sure did. Dragon Quest VII was notable because it came out on the PlayStation 1 and it looked like
It
looked a little
not great.
dated, shall we
Yeah.
say. And
I never played the original. Did you play the original, Cat? Like, I played it on 3DS, and I liked the 3DS.
I was
one
aware
better.
of it. I didn't play it on.
I'm aware of their work.
It was done by Heartbeat and Art Piazza, not Level 5. Level 5 did
Okay.
DQ8.
Wait, Art Piazza was on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Oh, it was
Or no,
maybe the
wait.
same
Art
company
Piazza
that
might
made
have done
Six.
the remake.
Oh, the remake. Okay.
Yeah, I think Art Piazza.
okay,
Art
that
Piazza
makes a
did
lot
the
more
3DS, iOS, and Android game.
There's
And
another-
Heartbeat did Dragon Quest VII for the PlayStation.
There are like a few companies that I think when you see are like developing something, you kind of go like, hell yeah. And for some reason, Art Piazza does kind of sit in that realm for me where I'm like, I'm interested. I want to see. Cause
If they did the 3DS or DS remakes for 5, like that's still one of the best remakes I ever played. And we really needed to be more accessible.
Yeah, they did the Mario RPG remake. They did a bunch of the DQ stuff. Yeah.
DQ8 was done by Level 5, as was DQ9. And then DQ10 was the MMO, and 11 was brought back in-house, I think.
It was in-house, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Dragon Quest VII, if you haven't played it, it has a job system. It's very slow. Notably slow. The 3DS one is kind of the one to play, but the real sickos, there are sickos out there who I'm sure can tell you all about how the PlayStation version is really good. I think Tim Rogers is a fan of DQ7.
God bless Tim Rogers, but of course he is. I have to give a shout out to the 3DS remake of 7 because there was a very strange instance there of a reference to the raccoons, which is a Canadian cartoon series that for some reason was really huge amongst the British, and it was the British who localized Dragon Quest VII for the 3DS, and I found a reference to the raccoons there, and I'm like, that's just a weird crossover of culture right there, but please continue.
Eric, you played the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky demo, which is out now.
Are we sliding into the tavern?
We're moving into the tavern.
Yeah, Trails in the Sky FC demo.
Sorry.
What was that tavern noise?
That was the I'm sleeping in Dragon Quest mute sound.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Like the
when I think of tavern and Dragon Quest,
Discord voice cancellation cut out like half.
There's also
Okay,
that's
that one I know. Yeah.
that one I know, but I was thinking da 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 with Patty's Pub.
Or da 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 da. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So Trails in the Sky FC has the remake of FC. So I think it's called Trails in the Sky First with a number chapter. The way they're putting it out there is weird. It feels like they don't want to say remake, even though this is very much a remake. I've played up to, for those who have played the game, I'm at the part now where I have to go find Luke and Pat, I believe, at the Jade Tower. So very early on, very early on, I just became a junior bracer. I've met Sherazard. I've met a bunch of other characters who don't matter as much as Sherazard, and it is a little surprising how much of a remake this is, while also feeling like it is modernizing the series towards what Trails has looked like up to this point. Because if you looked at footage of Daybreak or something like that, yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what these games function as nowadays, and in some ways it's really just modernizing the old system. And so there is some weirdness when it comes to you fight in the overworld and then go into turn-based, and it does that sort of thing where Metaphor also obviously got very popular for doing this, having some action systems that can then parlay into advantages in turn-based combat. Though I will say I was surprised by how difficult Trails in the Sky is early on. Pleasantly surprised. At first I thought battles were kind of going a little too easy, and the first dungeon you can kind of just walk through, and then I got to the part where you're going to the Jade Tower, and all of a sudden you have enemies that oh, I don't have any weaknesses for them, and they were like really hitting me for damage and stuff like that. And so I had to open up my orbments, and I had to start thinking about, okay, well, I probably want to swap out this one for a red one, so I have a fire damage spell on Estelle, and then Joshua can kind of act as a defender slash procer of different effects like stun and things like that. And already I was starting to really enjoy the combat system, especially the build crafting of the orbments and stuff. I don't know if I love the action segments as much. The way you kind of just slam the staff feels a little loose in a way that I wish just kind of felt tighter compared to things that we have nowadays, like Metaphor or FF7 Remake, things like that. It just felt a little too loose and a little too unwieldy. Like I was trying to get the camera in position and then swing and then kind of having to like reconfigure, and that felt a little bit awkward. But as far as the actual game goes, I really want to play more because I know I've talked about this with FF14, and I'm starting to feel the same way about Trails, where too many people talk about the end goal, right? Of getting current, of getting presence of, well, now I have consumed all that there is, so I can continue to consume all that is new. I see this as you go down to your bookstore and you pick up the first Wheel of Time book, and you don't pick it up because you want to read all of Wheel of Time. You just want to read a good book. And then if you enjoy it, then you keep reading more Wheel of Time. Good news. There's a lot more of it that you can just keep reading.
Yeah, you don't need to turn it into a job.
Yeah. And I think in that regard, Trails is really hitting for me as just, it reminds me of early Hunter x Hunter, where it's very vibesy, it's very small scale. There's kind of some world stuff happening that's kind of trickled in, but really you're focusing on Estelle and Joshua. They're young kids who are trying to become junior bracers and live their life. But even then, there's not, stakes have not emerged yet. There's not some villain, and it almost feels like the inverse of what I said earlier, where Bloodlines has this, oh, your sire is dead and you're a thin blood and you have to survive. It's the inverse of that, and I think you want to be on either end of the spectrum. You either want to be, you have a parasite in your brain and you need to get it out, Baldur's Gate 3 style, or you're just vibing in the world. You're in a chill place. Find some things, go on adventures, do cool stuff. If you're anywhere in the middle, you have problems. But I think if you're on either end of that spectrum, it's a pretty good time. And I'm liking that about Trails in the Sky so far.
Can I just say one of the things I love about Trails is that it's one of those series that has been around for so long that something about its main mechanic has changed along with society. For example, you have Pokemon, the way that your Pokedex is basically a smart app that floats in front of you because of the Rotom or whatever they're called, where it started off with like, a Game Boy practically. That's what it looked like in game as well. Same with the Orbment, which by the way is a great magical system.
I really like it. It's really cool. The only thing I don't like is you have to open it and then you have to like hit another button to pop the thing open so you can change the orbs in there. I wish that was cleaner, but everything else great.
Yeah. But even then, it's like kind of like, okay, well, these started because Falcom's such an older company and this is such an old series. Like, oh, it's like a flip phone. Now it's more like a cell phone. Now it's more like this. Like, I just like it when games have been around long enough to be able to do that.
It's really funny when you start the game. There's obviously an intro sequence in anime OP, right? Which makes sense for the vibe that they're setting. And I got some flack for this, but I was like, I got enough flack that I got to voice it on the pod to get the people riled up, That intro starts and you see Estelle and Joshua, cool, great, and you see Sherazard, queen that she is, just living her life, love her. You see some dude who I've been told is Olivier. He plays the piano and then picks up a gun. That he seems kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
There's some mechanic girl. She seems kind of chill. And then it starts rotating in a series of characters that, I'm sorry, if you put them in a lineup and made me identify them, I probably would not be able to. I had the moment where I said to myself, this is like when my mom saw Dragon Ball. It was like, oh, it's a bunch of Gokus. There's just a lot of Gokus in there. And I love
your mom.
Maybe
there are a lot of Gokus.
Maybe not the main cast, but some of those characters popping up in the back half of that Trails FC anime OP looking like Goku's, all right, where they're just all kind of slightly palette swapped versions of the same character, and I'm like, I'm supposed to care about those dudes? I can't visually identify them. They look like 90s era harem characters that are like, oh, all the girls love Tenchi, and we just differentiated them with a few identifying visual characteristics. I actually started watching Tenchi Muyo again recently, and so that is slander.
Second week in a row that Tenchi Muyo has come up.
Yeah, because after I talked about it last week, I was like, I should go back and see if Tenchi Muyo is all right. It's all right. And that was actually slander against Tenchi Muyo because they do a lot to differentiate those characters, and they're very interesting. But maybe more like, I don't know, insert like also ran harem like anime of the 90s here. But I had that moment where I was like, there's a lot of Gokus in this game. And so I'm really interested to see which Goku ends up being my secret favorite character, because there's always one. But love Hina. That's a good pull. Yeah, love Hina. Anyways, I like Trails in the Sky FC so far. I'm really interested to see this. I think the biggest challenge they're going to run into is, from what I've been told, is that you hit the end of FC and you want to immediately go into SC. You like apparently the end of FC, and I don't know anything, so no spoilies, nothing. For once, the spoiler man does not want to get spoiled. Don't tell me anything. And don't try to ET me through the webcam either. But I wonder if they're gonna try and fast track SC with that in mind, because
SC's so big though.
SC's
so much bigger than FC.
Yeah, I'm worried I'm going to hit a point where I'm going to finish the remake and then immediately jump into the old SC, because I don't want to wait for the new.
There's nothing wrong with
SC.
that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. You should just do that. It's okay. And then you'll want to be on third, but then you'll go back and play SC again, the remake. And then you'll play the remake of third, and you'll just keep going in circles forever.
I have a question for chat, I think, because I think y'all are going to be able to answer this. I don't know if anyone here would be able to answer this. So once you finish Sky, where do you go after that? Do you go Cold Steel or do you go Crossbell? Because I know there's Cop
Cold
Arc
Steel.
and then there's School Arc, right?
You want to do Cold Steel and then Crossbell, right?
Do I go Cops or do I go to School?
School,
Okay.
you do want to go to school, I think.
Well, Chad is saying Cops.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Apparently Trails from Zero, which is
Fighting
the cop
crime
story.
in a future time.
Okay.
Yeah, Crossbell. Okay.
Cop stories.
Crossbell, Cold Steel 1 and 2 are at the same time. So I should play them in tandem.
Yes.
At the same time. Yeah, okay.
It's like reading a book, 2 books at the same time.
Yeah,
wanted to do that a lot.
I'm really interested. I'm really intrigued. It's a cool game. I think the visual design they've given it is really good. I was worried it was going to look too like we just kind of UE5'd some anime assets and stuff like that, but I think it's got a really good visual identity. I think the characters look great. There's a lot of little additions that I think are probably going to make a lot of fans happy. I love the cooking animations and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of love and care put into this that seeps through not in the big ways but in the small ways, and I think that fits the type of game that FC feels like. So I'm very happy with it so far, and I think it might be sneaking up on me as one of my unexpected favorite RPGs of the year so far.
At long last, Trails conversations.
We're doing it, people.
We did it. We
Happening.
did it. You're welcome, listeners at home.
By the way, if you enjoy the Trails series, we have talked about it in the past. We did a primer about it.
Y'all
And
just did a
also, there's also Trails in the Sky FC and SC have Pantheon episodes, in which we brought people on who are experts to talk about them, and we did go pretty spoilery on those. So Eric shouldn't listen to them because he doesn't want to be spoiled, but you should go listen to them. That's available to our patrons.
I don't listen to podcasts I'm on, so it's okay.
Neither do I.
Yeah, I kind of stopped listening to podcasts. But you should keep listening to our podcast.
Yeah,
You should keep listening to our podcast.
You should listen to our podcast because you're not on it, but I don't listen to podcasts I'm on because I was there. What am I going to get from it?
It's true. I don't listen to video game podcasts. Nothing wrong with them, and I'm not saying that video people in the industry have nothing to teach me, but because I'm so immersed in it, it's not the kind of thing I want to listen to necessarily.
That's why I try to seek out stuff that I think is going to highlight things that I would either like and miss or just want to hear additional thoughts on. So I don't listen to as many podcasts as I used to, but I think the ones I've kept in rotation fit that bill. So like Remap, Fire Escape, VGBs, that sort of stuff. Those are kind of the places I go to for podcasts these days.
I watch YouTube essays for my video game content, but
magic stuff. You're out there watching.
I watch a lot of
Commander
essays myself.
builds.
Yeah.
It's true. I do watch a lot of Commander at Home these days. That's kind of my go-to, or Command Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Those are definitely my YouTube my YouTube shows. I had long ago, back in the Misty era, back when I lived in Japan, I would ride to work every day on the train for like an hour. It was like more than an hour commute. And actually, Persona 5 hit in a very specific kind of way because you'd see the main character commuting in the mornings, and they lived in Yongenjaya, which was on the train line so I went past Songenjaya, the real life location, every day. And the reason I bring this up is that I would play Super Robot Wars or some game on my Nintendo DS, and I would listen to either One Up Yours with Garnet Lee and Shane Bettenhausen, or I would listen to Retronauts with our pal Jeremy Parrish. And they were my favorite shows. And then, so when I got to actually go on Retronauts, it was like, oh my God, I'm here with, there's Chris Kohler, there's Jeremy Parrish, here I am. Me, cat. Just a cat. It's been a long time.
Just wait until you're on Command Zone.
Oh my God.
Wait until you're bringing that Carlock deck to Command Zone.
Stop. Oh my God.
I want to see you destroy somebody with that Carlock deck on a YouTube channel. That's my personal goal for you, because that's a nasty deck. That's a disgusting deck.
Thank you. I've been watching, I told you, I've been watching a lot of Commander at Home, and Brian Kibler is notably a green player. So his whole thing is ramp and bring out big creatures that swing really hard. And so I've just been taking a lot of cues from him in my deck building recently. But
he just did a Sin Spira's Punishment deck that I thought was
really cool.
that
was fun. That was fun. He was just like, here are these crazy things that are getting dropped in. And yeah, you should go watch that episode.
I was looking at that and I was like, ooh. I was like,
Sin Spira's Punishment, a Sin deck.
Sin's
intriguing,
cool,
intriguing.
Me in the 900s before I'm burned at the stake. And Sin's cool, man.
Wow, Sin. Okay. I did promise that we would talk about this. The PlayStation 5 price increase. So it is being raised about $50. And the PlayStation Pro is now $749.99. And the base PlayStation 5 will cost $500. And it is being chalked up to, the tariffs, which is inevitably going to take its toll on games and technology specifically, because Donald Trump wants to have a homegrown chip-making industry and is targeting technology specifically. And, I mean, among many other reasons. Like, I don't even want to get into all of this stuff. But the point is, tariffs, they exist. And they are causing game console prices to go up. And can you believe that the PlayStation 5 is 5 years old now? It's been almost exactly 5 years since the PS5 came out. And I'm sure there's an interesting retrospective to be had on that. But I like my PS5 for the most part. Hard to imagine me
I
buying
played
one
Final
at a
Fantasy
super
14 on it.
premium.
I can't picture somebody who buys a PS5 nowadays. At this price, I can't.
Who is buying a
It wouldn't be
PS5?
worth it.
Someone
It's
who
just
really loves Sony first party?
Because I know we always
Astrobot.
FIFA,
I'm gonna head something off at the pass here.
Call of Duty,
We
Call
we
of Duty
love
bros.
we love to say, okay, just buy a PC, and I know that buying a PC itself is not a cheap endeavor.
Well, it's a $2,000 venture, my friend.
If you're going for high end, I think if you're going for low end, that stuff has largely settled down now post everybody trying to crypto mine with the most recent stuff. So I think if you're getting like a 3070 or something like that, you can probably ballpark it closer to 1,000 to 1,300. I think if you're being very efficient, building yourself, and there's a lot of good resources I highly recommend, build yourself, but do pre-built if you want. I don't know. I think building is a rewarding venture, but I also, the reason why I bring up PC is because the PC still does like my PC. This stream right here is running on an old gaming PC of mine that still can run it's my work computer now. It's where I do everything. Now that everybody's working from home, the prospect of having a work PC that also does games became very alluring mid-pandemic. And so I think the fact that the PlayStation just plays games and then is also kind of a media center, but that doesn't matter anymore because TVs have media centers built in now.
Yeah.
It's losing that allure, coupled with the fact that, I'm sorry, there haven't been that many PS5. There have been like this generation exclusive games, but not a lot of PS5 exclusive games. And so you start looking at, well, is PC just a better option if I want to have something that's going to be more bang for my buck? Yeah, probably. Like you're gonna spend more, but if you're already making the decision between spending $750 for a PS5 Pro and $1,000 for a decent PC that's going to do a lot, I think that cost benefit analysis gets worse for Sony over time. And I don't know. And then ultimately you go like, do I want to play all these games, or would I rather just get like a Switch 2 or Steam Deck and play it that way? And suddenly Steam Decks starts to look good. Although I think we forgot to mention it. There was the Microsoft, what's their handheld called again? The Xbox
Rogue
Xbox.
Ally X.
The ROG Ally X, where they announced it and a release date but did not say a price.
Yeah, for reasons.
Yeah.
I think this is coupling with the broad shift we're seeing in gaming, which is AAA gaming is becoming very difficult to sustain, especially for the higher end companies. They're making really, really big games. And so a lot of smaller, more budget experience, quote unquote budget experiences, but even things like Mafia the Old Country, which is a very Xbox 360 era game, Pragmata from Capcom, a very Xbox 360 era game. We're seeing a lot of shifts in vision and what games are ultimately doing. And all that is to say, I cannot wait to do the retrospective on this console generation because it's been absolutely bonkers. It's been nuts.
What a disaster.
It's been a thing.
It's been bad. The PlayStation, I will say that, okay, so PlayStation's PC strategy, to use a cliche, mixed bag, to say the least, in part because of, I think, pretty wrong-headed approach where they require a login from PSN, which resulted in a lot of their games not being available in certain countries.
Started a whole
and
row with Helldivers players,
it took what was an unqualified win, Helldivers 2, and turned it into kind of a mess in some ways. It's still a win, but it became a qualified win but I will say also though, it was a real mistake, I think, for Xbox to just decide that all of the Xbox games were going to be day and date on PC, because it just meant that it just really watered down the console aspect of it, and it invited inevitable comparisons to the PC version, where it's like, well, the Xbox version sucks, so just buy the PC version. And
I read a thing about how, I don't know if it was on Reddit, maybe even a YouTube comment, but just about how like someone from the really old days of Microsoft was saying how just basically Microsoft never wanted to be a gaming company. Like they just, or they kind of did, but there was always that side that wanted to stay as like a data company.
Well, Bill Gates,
Bill Gates was like
Bill Gates was
big on
there
it, but-
promoting the original Xbox. He wasn't being a mascot for it. Microsoft, we could do a whole episode on Microsoft and Windows.
We really could, yeah.
Their history with games, because it goes back to Windows 95.
That's what I was thinking.
Where when Windows 95 came around and a lot of DOS games, you were having to boot into DOS to run a lot of games because they ran so poorly in Windows 95. But then Microsoft was buying up studios to make games specifically that ran on Windows 95.
They would never do that again.
Sure does rhyme.
Yeah, and then of course, the Xbox history is fascinating. Stuff like them going, well, what if we bought Nintendo, and Nintendo went, no.
Nintendo laughing them out of the building.
That's not happening. They sent a fax that said LOL.
Mm-hmm. Like the "you're fired" fax from Back to the Future too.
LOL, comma LMAO.
LMAO even.
By the way, saying the word fax reminds me, just like hit something in my brain. It reminds me that I need to talk about Shin Godzilla in the post show. Don't let me forget about that.
Oh, Shin Godzilla is so good.
Amazing show. Okay, so I'm looking at IGN's top PlayStation 5 games. Here are the top games. Elden Ring. Sure. A cross-generational cross-generational game on every platform. Baldur's Gate 3 on every platform.
Again, yeah.
Did it? No.
Metaphor
it
Refantasio.
Xbox those later.
It's not on Switch. Baldur's Gate 3 is on Switch. Metaphor Refantasio came out on PC day and date.
And PS4. Wasn't Metaphor also?
Yeah,
a PS4
yeah.
game?
You're right. Yeah,
I think
it was
so.
also
That was also
game.
cross-gen.
God of War Ragnarok. That's the first Sony exclusive. Number 4, which
pretty.
It was okay.
I dislike God of War Ragnarok.
Number 5, but God of War Ragnarok is indicative of we got a lot of sequels to the games that popped off on PS4, but they weren't as good.
Ragnarok was also PS4. That's crazy. That's
and we got Spider-Man. We got Spider-Man 2. We're gonna get Ghost of Yotei. So it's just running it all back with the PS5. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is number 5. Number 6 is Astrobot, which to me is like, now that's a system seller right there.
That's the king.
Can't get that anywhere else. Great game. Number 7, P5 Royal, a game that's basically 8 years old. Number 8, FF7 Remake. We're doing it again. Number 9, The Last of Us. And number 10, The Witcher 3. Witcher 3, a 10-year-old game. So, I mean...
Guys, there's not more Last of Us on there.
I disagree with that list, for one. But I'm also just looking at that and going like, man, this has been a really...
Death Stranding 2 came out?
Yeah, that list probably needs some up. I'm not even a huge Death Stranding.
Well, they said they have a bunch of games. They said they have a bunch of games under consideration.
Yeah.
But let's see. Under consideration, they have. This is not an objective list. Death Stranding 2, The Alters, Fantasy Life I, Doom: The Dark Ages, Monster Train 2, Oblivion Remastered, Expedition 33.
Yeah, Expo down there.
Yeah. So here's what I think that I'm going to just put myself in the shoes of somebody who enjoys video games, but maybe doesn't follow the industry as closely as, say, we do. I think that the PS5 is for someone who wants to be engaged with video games, but they don't want to pay $2,000 freaking dollars to do it. And they're buying a PS5 and they're getting FIFA and maybe Call of Duty, and they hear about the new PlayStation game like Ghost of Yotei or something. And then also all of the big third-party games are on it. And they're happy as a clam. They're getting what they want.
That's me.
I do think there is the gamer that wants their machine that's going to play their games when they want to play them, when they're available. I do think that person exists. I do think that person is of a certain generation, because I think that is slowly.
I agree.
I think that is slowly.
It's getting
out.
older.
And
people are in their 30s and 30s and up.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's probably you're looking at somebody who has a day job, who wants to come home and play something either. I know we often say things like Call of Duty and stuff like that, but I do think games like Expedition 33 also fall under this metric. The normies be loving Expedition 33. Yeah. The normies love Baldur's Gate 3, let me tell you. Thank you, Critical Role. But it's literally they just want to be able to play those games and not have to mess with stuff. But even then, those people have been slowly erring towards PC because PC holds League of Legends, it holds Valorant, it holds a lot of games that I know I named 2 Riot games, but you can think of stuff like Battlefield, you can think of stuff like PUBG. I'm naming a lot of like really like my generation games. I know I'm probably getting laughed at by Zoomers and Gen Alphas right now, but even Roblox and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of Fortnite. There's a lot of experiences that you play socially with
Roblox
friends.
You're playing on your iPad.
And importantly, you're on Discord. So you already need something that's running that stuff. And I think Discord is an unsung part of the shift towards PC, and it's why you're seeing PlayStation and Xbox making a big thing about we've got Discord, we've got it on our systems.
We got
now.
Discord.
Nintendo's going like we've got our really crappy version of Discord, and because people are going there because that's where the socializing is happening. That's where I almost said that's where the socialism is happening. It's probably happening there too, but it's that's where people are. That's where people are doing things. And so it is shifting not just where you play a game, but where you interact with people. And that is driving a lot of this PC attachment too. So I'm not like out here saying like we're seeing the end of the consoles, but like consoles are getting increasingly, especially as the prices go up, not a great cost benefit ratio, not a great investment for what you want to do.
$500 versus $2,000, still pretty good cost benefit. You're getting,
but like I said, you still need.
You're getting a good experience.
But if you want to hop on Discord and play League of Legends or Fortnite with your friends, okay, are you getting on your phone? Are your friends going to rag on you for using a phone and an AirPod Pro that sounds like ass?
Probably. If you're playing on PS5, the Discord connects directly to Discord.
Get off McDonald's Wi-Fi.
I will tell you from experience with people using it, the Discord integration on consoles is not great. I've been in calls.
It's not been a problem for me. I've done it.
I've been in calls with people who use PlayStation and Xbox Discord integration, and it's frustrating to use. It's not ideal. You often have, it's not dual monitor, which a lot of people who do PCs do dual monitors nowadays because that's just, monitors are cheap. Why would you not have a second monitor?
Yeah.
If you have a PC and you only have one monitor, please get a second monitor. It's the best thing you can buy.
Oh, it's life-changing. It's life-changing. Or an ultra wide.
Nadia, go buy like a $20 to $40 monitor. It doesn't need to be a good monitor. It just has to.
That's fair.
Function.
It has to have a so you
have
the good
HDMI
monitor
port.
and the bad monitor.
Yeah, I have literally my work PC monitors, which are like just Dell cheap monitors that are 1080p, and then I have my good gaming monitor over here that is, I think, 1440p and super VSync, whatever, all that kind of stuff.
I got a great 4K monitor that's just started to like black out from the bottom up, and now I have just a regular now I have a kind of, it's okay what I got now, but it's not 4K.
Eric, you're the college football fan here.
Yes.
You like college football 26. Are you been playing CFB 26?
I've not been playing CFB. I just haven't had time.
I think sports games are an unsung part of what's driving a lot of consoles because we can talk about FC and Madden declining a bit under EA, but there's still just ungodly amounts of money from those games. And people I know who have had visuals of what the PlayStation Store is doing have been like, no, those games make more money than you can even begin to fathom on a like day-to-day basis. They dominate on places like PlayStation Store. So you know who it is? It's a very specific type of British lad or American bro who is buying Madden or FC, and they're getting together with the lads or the bros, and they're playing, couch co-op, or they're just hanging out and playing Ultimate Team and cracking packs or whatever. And those are the kinds of people who are buying PlayStation. And that's a big market, to be clear.
The lads and bros came together and
the
played
lads.
Together?
But
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
and I will emphasize that like Madden and FC are on a slight downturn, if I remember correctly from the most recent
slight.
sales
Well,
call.
yeah, because they're just so big.
Slight, but CFB is
Ain't it?
huge. College football is doing crazy numbers right now.
Huge.
Yeah.
Can you believe that CFB is not on Switch too? Isn't that crazy?
It's so stupid. I would probably be
To
playing
be clear,
CFB if I had it on Switch too.
longtime listeners of this podcast will know that I have previously liked sports games. Kind of out on them. They got boring because they just kept doing the same thing for 10 years. And in fairness, there's only so much you can
hit ball with bat.
There's only so much you can do to change it around.
What are you gonna do?
I mean, I guess when I play FC or even college football, I'm like, well, this doesn't feel like that different from how it felt 10 years ago.
That's
like it
fair,
doesn't
yeah.
feel revelatory.
We need to play rematch at some point. Rematch has kind of died down at this
Yeah.
point, but rematch is
It was a big
fun.
deal.
Yeah,
It was a big deal for a bit. Yeah,
a very
it's
fun
just
game.
it's not just Rocket League, right? Because I didn't like Rocket League.
It's got similar vibes to Rocket League, but it's much more. It feels like a soccer game. It feels like you are playing soccer. I think you would have a good time with it.
Okay, so we're an RPG podcast. How does this impact RPGs? I'll say that there's still a lot of Japanese developers who support the PlayStation 5. PlayStation has fallen quite far behind Switch, I think, in Japan. But there's also a lot of boutique developers like Falcom, for example, who are in NIS, NIS is a publisher. Falcom is the one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Super Robot Wars is coming out on the PlayStation that are supporting the PlayStation 5. And personally, for myself, I tend to go to Switch for those kinds of experiences. It's actually kind of hard for me to imagine buying a PlayStation 6 right now, except for the fact that I happen to be in the games industry. But that's because of me. But are people who play those kinds of games, are they on PlayStation or are they playing on Switch or a different platform? That's what I'm asking.
I would love to hear from the folks at home about this. So if y'all want to write in or say something,
So
and maybe like
there was a time where yes, exactly. There was a time where PlayStation was the place to go, like specifically PS2, because you'd always be like at eye level, you'd be looking at your game, your typical shooters and whatnot, and then you would look one level down, and you'd see games like Disgaea, and you'd be like, yes, what is this?
That I think has flipped. I think now predominantly you buy a PS5 because you want to play Rebirth 16, Expedition 33. Like
Metaphor.
You want to
Metaphor is still not on Switch,
right? You want to play the super like high production level RPGs from the biggest companies. Whereas I think if you just play RPGs casually, or you don't care so much about playing the most recent RPGs, you're probably leaning, I imagine, towards a Steam Deck or a Switch 2 situation, or even just Steam in general. And I find myself leaning that way too, because I just like I've been playing Trails on PC, which granted that demo I think in English right now is only out on PlayStation and PC. For some reason the Switch English demo is not out. The Japanese Switch demo is out for Trails FC, but I still cannot speak Japanese well enough to play Trails in the Sky, so I'm not going to try. But it's interesting, I think, how that is maybe inverted, where I think PlayStation, especially the Vita and things like that, were havens for retro games, for deeper cuts, for niche picks. I think a lot of that has moved to PC now. I think a lot of that is now in the realm of Steam or the Switch, which anything can get on Switch, I guess. Check out Hentai Golf and all that, but
good old Hentai Golf, our game
good
of the
old
year.
Hentai Golf, yeah.
Heard it here first.
Axe of the Blood Gods, Goaty 2025.
Wow.
What's Donkey Kong?
Hentai Golf.
Hentai Kong.
Funny enough, they both have the banana voice line.
Amazing. Okay. That's for the tavern. Normally, I'd say that Nadia should take us home, but I'm going to call an audible here, and say that let's go to the mailbag.
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's
Oh.
mailbag.
Because
it's letter time. It's letter time.
It's letter
Mailbag
time.
has never led us to a pit.
Never.
No, never. So this is what Hades Fish says. They said, I know there isn't an open call for questions yet, but putting one here because it's on my mind, because there's some subject matter overlap. There's been a lot of notable changes in game advertising. Much of it is concentrated in the last decade or so as internet use and social media became more widespread. I think back with some fondness on notable ads and how they prompted me and other people to try new types of games. The TV and magazine ads for FF7 were a huge contributor to that game's popularity, for instance. I got into Final Fantasy because I saw the mod casting ad on TV for FF6 as a kid and had no idea what the game entailed before I rented. Saga Frontier 2's ad and EGM had this really cool timeline of events in the game story. So it also got me really interested in that series, even though it wasn't really an honest portrayal of that game's experience in many ways. I know a couple of people who bought the game because the ad played up the Gustav scenario and got annoyed when Will Knights was the more prominent storyline.
Yeah.
Do any of you recall specific print or TV ads from bygone eras that pushed you to try something that hadn't been on your radar? Do you recall that they were particularly effective and why? Here's a funny one for Rayman 2, I also remember, which shows this kind of overweight guy and and it's called just say Ray, the game, and it says coming soon, as if like Rayman is like this weird dude.
Yeah,
going,
I remember that when Rayman was like, what the hell is a Rayman? Yeah, too
so
bad the
Blue
game wasn't so
Dragon.
great.
So Eric has a visual aid for
Nice.
Blue Dragon.
I went to go get my stack of old Game Informers because I was like, there's got to be some good ones in here. And obviously on the back of this, we've got the Old Spice ad.
Wow.
But, yeah, there's some good ones in here.
For me, of course, I could go back and forth across all the years. An interesting thing is that this could be me specifically just not watching enough TV as a kid, but I feel like in Canada we missed a lot of game ads, and it was rare to get a game ad here that you would not see very often in the States. And the only one I could think of was the one for NHL hockey 93 or 94, where Ty Domi beats the shit out of a figure skater. That was probably shown in the Midwest and of course Canada, but I remember it showed it to my husband in America, and he's like, I've never seen that before. I will say that I feel like the last great era of TV advertising for video games was 2008. Something about that era was just the banger year of game ads. If you remember, Kat, you were in Japan, so you might not remember, but like the ads they had for Gears of War with that Donnie Darko cover of
There's a
Mad
whole
World.
Wii Switch campaign we would like to play.
We would like to play. The I forget what you call it, the diorama for Halo 3, which is apparently still somewhere. Someone owns it now. Under the sea bit for BioShock, it was just a great era for game ads. And
you're right. I
then,
was living in Japan, so I completely missed all that.
Y'all remember?
But I'm sure someone out there
Jamster?
remembers it.
Holy crap! Jamster ad is crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, Lancer, video game ads were mostly from magazines in Canada, or if we had access to American channels. And even then,
Nadia and I came up in the era of completely bizarre, very weird print ads in gaming magazines, which
very masculine.
Scott Sharkey did a good job of cataloging all the worst ones.
Oh,
but they would be total non sequiturs. I remember it was either Phalanx or Axelay, which was a shmup, a space shmup, but it just showed a guy with a banjo sitting on
a classic. That's just
looking shocked and weird, and you could see a little thing in the background.
Oh.
Yeah, Transformers.
That's a good cover right there.
It's not a print ad, but it is in a sense. I used to look at Nintendo Power all the time, and the first place I heard of Secret of Mana was from Nintendo Power, which had this big, beautiful dragon on the cover. And then I opened it up and was looking at these screenshots, and if it's just not in motion, just in screenshots, circa 1993, 94, oh my gosh, that game looked beautiful. Gorgeous. I was just staring at it like, wow, I'm going to play this game. Amazing. Oh, Skyrim. That's a nice ad.
It's a good Skyrim ad. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually pretty fire. So
I got a whole pile of print magazines down there. I'm not gonna get them out, but
I got
it's fun to
closets
page through them.
full of. I got boxes and closets full of Nintendo, just game magazines between my husband and I. It's like I just want to put them on a plane to give them to Frank Cifaldi, but my husband would never let me.
This issue right here, this Fallout 3 issue, I'm so glad I've held on to it. There are like torn pages in it and stuff, but it's a banger issue. It's got Fallout 3, it's got Rock Band, it's got Grim.
They had a fantastic
good issue.
Mega Man issue way back in the day.
I remember that also Nintendo had these really great manga comics in Nintendo Power. They had one for
great.
The Star Fox one, fantastic. A Link to the Past, amazing. The Link to the Past manga was fan-frickin-tastic. It was gorgeous.
Cloud's mother was killed in a car bomb. She was killed in a car bomb by Andros. And Andros didn't mean to kill her, and it just traumatized him. And he had a pig that was his only friend. It was a great comic.
Isn't it a pig robot?
It was a pig robot named what was the pig robot's name? I almost said Honky, but I don't think his name was Honky. Why did I think the pig robot was named Honky?
They were also syndicating the Pokemon, I think, manga or something like that.
That was a very they did a great job back in the day of like advertising Pokemon for the West, like through that kind of stuff, because that was me saying that was the stuff I read and said, wow, this Pokemon shit's going to be huge. And yeah, they did. They took like the first episode of the anime and kind of made it into a comic format because God forbid manga was a thing. And yeah, that was a thing they did to kind of get people's appetite whetted for Pokemon to great effect.
God, what happened?
Yeah, so
that's what I want to know.
Chad, if you remember the android pig's name and it wasn't Honky, let me know. Herbert.
Historic.
It was Herbert.
I wrote this cover story for GamePro. Star Trek. Also, my first ever print magazine, EGM.
Ooh. Yo.
The Japan issue. Many stories.
I'm still trying to get my hands on the first GI I remember reading, which was the Final Fantasy X issue. That like that's how I found out about Final Fantasy X was through that GI.
That's awesome.
Mega Man
2, Mega
Man 3. Test your mettle on a new Mega Mission. Don't miss monster features for Deja Vu, The Immortal, and more. Plus poster for Bart Simpson versus the Space Mutants.
If you were a kid in the 90s and you were going to a sleepover and they had a Nintendo, they were renting fucking Bart versus the fucking Space Mutants and it sucked ass.
Final Fantasy 2. That's
such a great cover with the chocobo and all that shit and Cecil looking like he has a schmata on his head. I don't know why.
Is that Cecil?
I guess it's supposed to be because he rides a black chocobo.
Yeah, I guess so. And the Mist Dragon right here.
Yeah, I love the Mist Dragon.
Excellent.
You know what would be a fun game the next time we do like trivia or something is I just have GIs on hand and I go like, what do you think this game got in Game Informer? Because I'm looking at Final Fantasy 12 Revenant Wings. What do you think that game got in Game Informer?
7.
6.
Nadia wins by Price is Right rules. That's a 7.5.
Woo,
They famously gave, I think, Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. Your current employer was, I think, very harsh on one of the Paper Mario games.
I wasn't there.
You should quit, Eric. It's a stain on your reputation.
They gave The Witcher an 8, which I think is kind of crazy for Witcher 1 back at the time. But I also like their subheader of which their face is off. I don't know what that means, but
it means it was 2007.
It's got a ring to it.
The original Witcher? Or Witcher
the
3?
Witcher 1. Got an 8. Yo, Naruto Rise of a Ninja is a crazy good game. Hell yeah.
Western Pokemon ads went lifestyle game right out the gate and got me dead center, says Drew WRX. Yeah, there's a lot of really memorable Pokemon commercials from that era, like the Pokemon getting smashed into a trash compactor. Like, are you going to forget that? Or were they blew up on a school bus? Something happened. A bunch of Pokemon got hurt.
That's a good EGM.
But I also remember the one with the
This is
table.
We should probably like wrap this pod up and move to post show because now it's just becoming us holding up magazines and that's I'm sure the pod listeners at home are like, yeah, I love hearing people go, ooh, Oh, and then
Ooh.
like dead silence for like 10
was a
seconds.
good radio.
Ooh.
It's good radio
Hey, I'm
right
trying.
here.
I'm trying to keep this conversation going.
Well, okay. Hades Fish, thank you so much for the mailbag question. And yeah, if you want to submit a mailbag question and have us read it on the show as a mail pit, please do, because that can be a really fun way to do things. So it's in the mailbag channel over on the Discord.
I'm not sure if every pit is going to be a mail pit or just once in a while.
No, not everyone.
God,
but
okay.
If I dated
let's give you a break. Give you a break sometimes, Nadia, because I know that. I mean, the pit runs deep, but there's a finite. Yeah. No, dig up, stupid. And on that note, that's it for this week's episode of Axe of the Blood God. We're heading into the post show in just a moment with the Stars of Destiny, where I guess we'll be talking about Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about best vampires. And maybe we're holding up more magazines.
MCR. I went to see MCR last night. I can tell you all about that.
Wait, you saw MC? Okay, we got to talk about that. Yeah.
There's lots of stuff to talk about. Maybe we can talk about Eric and I when we were playing Magic. That was pretty fun. Eric shaking his head.
I don't want to relive that. Too many dragons.
As always, if you want the show ad-free, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/bloodgodpod. Get access to our newsletter, get access to Charlie and Dropouts, get access to our Discord, where lots of fun things are happening. And you can support the show and keep it going. We've been doing this for 10 years now. The Patreon is almost 5 years old. That's crazy. And lots more where that came from, I hope. Until then, I've been your host, Kat Bailey. Thank you so much for listening. And for Nadia, Eric, myself, we'll see you next week. And until then, happy adventuring.